Hi friends, and welcome back to Book Nook's online storytime. Today we'll be reading Swan Lake, based on the New York City Ballet production, illustrated by Valeria Docampo. It was Prince Siegfried's 21st birthday, and the castle was alive with joy and laughter as the court jester entertained the party guests. It's a big party, lots of people dancing and smiling, right? While the crowd was celebrating, the queen arrived with a royal to-do. She made her way to her son to give him a birthday present of a magnificent golden crossbow. There it is. The thrill of the gift was blunted for the prince, however, when his mother said, "You are now 21, my son. It is time for you to find a bride because it is your royal duty to marry." The prince sadly hung his head. To him, marriage meant the end of his days as a carefree boy. Prince Siegfried's best friend, Benno, understood how the prince felt. So he tried to cheer him up by raising a toast and leading a spirited dance. But the prince remained glum. He's dancing, but he doesn't look too happy about it. When the sun began to set, a flock of swans flew overhead. This gave Benno an idea. He handed the prince his new crossbow and called for a hunting trip to the Swan Lake. But Prince Siegfried waved his friends away, still lost in sadness at his mother's command to marry soon. It was only after his friends set off that the prince had a change of heart. Maybe a hunt would cheer him up after all. He picked up the bow and left for the lake. When he stepped from the forest into a clearing, he came upon a flock of swans. To his amazement, one of the swans turned into the loveliest young woman he'd ever seen right before his eyes. That's magic! The woman recoiled from him in fear, and Prince Siegfried quickly put down his bow to show he meant her no harm. Her name was Odette, and she was the queen of the swans. Odette explained that she and her friends had been placed under a spell by a wicked sorcerer named von Rothbart. By day, they were doomed to live as swans, but for a few hours each night, they were allowed to return to their human form. There was only one way to lift the curse. Someone who had never loved before must swear his love to Odette and marry her. The Swan Queen had barely finished her tale when a figure sprang from the shadows of the forest, and Prince Siegfried found himself face to face with von Rothbart. The prince raised his bow to destroy the evil sorcerer, but Odette pleaded with him to hold his fire. If von Rothbart died before the spell was broken, the curse could never be undone, and she would be doomed to be a swan forever. Von Rothbart slunk back into the forest, his cape flowing behind him ominously. The clearing then filled with Odette's friends, who danced beautifully, though sadly, since they understood their fate. While they danced, the prince and the Swan Queen fell in love under a starry sky. Filled with love, Odette and her friends twirled, leaped, and glided gracefully in the light of the moon. They're dancing all around the forest and the lake at night. As dawn lifted the dark of night, von Rothbart's power summoned the swans back to the glistening lake. Prince Siegfried pledged his true love to Odette and promised to hurry back to marry her and finally break the evil spell. He watched helplessly when the arms that had embraced him turned back into the feathered wings of a swan. So sad. I hope he can help Odette. The very next day, the queen held a grand ball at the castle. The court jester and his 3 apprentices, along with dancers from around the world, amazed the crowd. That is a large crowd, and look at all these stunning costumes. These costumes are very similar to what you would see if you went to a real New York City Ballet performance. The queen had invited 6 princesses to the ball, and she hoped one of them would be a good match for the prince. The prince dutifully danced with each princess to please his mother, but while he danced, he could think only of Odette, his beloved Swan Queen. All the dancers were swirling around the ballroom when 2 late arrivals caught Prince Siegfried's eye. They appeared to be a knight and his daughter, who was dressed in a shimmering black gown and a glittering tiara. The prince's heart skipped a beat and then soared. She was Odette! He sailed across the floor, swept her into his arms, and joyfully danced for the rest of the night. But it was all a wicked trick. The knight was von Rothbart in disguise, and the young beauty the prince thought was Odette was actually Odile, von Rothbart's daughter. Von Rothbart had magically disguised Odile to look exactly like the prince's true love, Odette. The trick worked. The prince was fooled. He didn't recognize von Rothbart, nor did he sense Odette's frantic attempt to alert him to the evil plan. The prince pledged his love to the young woman he thought was Odette, and he announced to the queen and court that he would like to take her hand in marriage. Oh no, but it's not really Odette! What is he going to do? As soon as the prince made his proclamation, von Rothbart stepped forward in triumph to reveal that Odile was not Odette. Both father and daughter laughed fiendishly. Ha 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 ha! When Prince Siegfried realized with horror that he had broken his vow to his one true love. Because of his mistake, the spell could now not be broken. Odette and her friends were cursed to remain swans until the end of their days. Everyone at the castle was aghast, and Prince Siegfried fled to search for his swan queen. Prince Siegfried reached the lake to find a heartbroken Odette being comforted by her fellow swans. With anguish, the prince explained that he had been tricked and that he had not meant to betray her. He begged for her forgiveness. Odette knew in her heart that Prince Siegfried was being truthful, and she forgave him. Their love was true. When von Rothbart arrived at the lake to claim victory, he saw that the love between Odette and Prince Siegfried was pure and strong. He could never break their bonds of love. He flew into a rage and crumpled to the ground in defeat. True love would never die, and the prince would not marry Odile. But the spell still could not be broken, and the curse could not be lifted. Odette would remain a swan forever. After a long night, dawn came, and once more the spell pulled Odette and the swans back to the lake. Her outstretched arms turned once again to feathered wings. Prince Siegfried reached out for her one last time, but he knew, when she slipped away, that he would remain in love, but alone forevermore. The end. For more fun facts about this story, check out our Shelf Love series on Instagram. You can follow us at Book Nook NYC.